Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts,
Hey, I'm Rodney Godek.
and tonight is episode 10.
Ooh,
Yeah, I know.
that's a milestone.
It is, it is.
Double digits, brother.
Exactly, exactly. Um, Soon, will be a teenager.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah, to
uh,
honor number 10.
yeah, I mean, two. Okay, I don't want to say the word great movies, but I want to say two movies that were accidentally paired very well together, to be discussed together, as they have a lot of similarities in concept, but very very different films overall. Also, one of the things that they did have in common was that I feel like they're extremely polarizing. If you go to IMDb, you check out Student Body. It has a 4.3 IMDb, pretty low even for horror. It's got 1 stars all over the place, 10 stars all over the place, calling the 1 star uh, reviewers trolls, and
Mm-hmm.
claiming art and all sorts of other things for the reason to give it a 10. So some people saying in their reviews that they would have gave it a 7, but they gave it a 10 because they wanted to offset all the ones. Um, and then, of course, the Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre requel, which
Yeah,
once again, I don't see a lot of people taking middle ground on this movie. It's love it or
yeah.
hate it all over the place.
For sure, it was extremely busy weekend in the Twitterverse as far as people giving their opinions, others chiming in on their own opinions on other people's opinions, and kind of going back and forth. A lot of people that just wanted to kind of cool things down, be like, you like what you like. For me, it worked. For you, if it didn't, cool. There's definitely people that felt that way, but there was plenty of people that wanted to just voice their opinions and vent and everything like that on what I think is has to be as far as like uh, the original or classic slasher type characters. Leatherface is not top tier. Like, I never saw any of the sequels. I only saw the original, and I never watched any of them because I was always like, "No, those are going to be stupid." Because the original was like a piece of art, and you're not going to do that again. You're not going to recapture that essence. And so you're just going to make a cheap slasher, and it's like, whatever. I never got into it. So I just never bothered. If that excludes me from your conversation, then fine, person. But that's just the way it is.
Right. I'm actually in the exact same boat. I watched the first one. I love the original. I checked out. I think it was number three, starring Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, and I pretty much only watched that because of the top billing. Like, how do you not watch a horror
Sure.
movie with those two people in it? And it was very forgettable. I honestly can only picture a handful of scenes. Um, Besides that, I was never into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For me, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, he was
Right.
not, I'm sure, he has his place, among them, Chucky, Candyman, etc. But for me, he is not top tier, and
Right.
and
He's there,
I know he
but
actually is top tier, but
right.
I
No,
just
no,
I
no, 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 no.
I just never I just never
He's not
considered
top
him.
tier. He's not top tier. He is not. He's just there.
All right, he's
He's
just
in a
there.
slasher movie, and he's done several slasher movies.
Yeah.
He's not top tier
Well, that's okay. So
to me.
okay, all right. So we'll talk more about Texas later because we're gonna start with Student Body tonight.
Yeah. So,
Wah, wah.
if you were hoping, you're gonna have to hold out and
Yeah.
just wait. Like we
So
all waited for that movie for a long time. So, Student Body.
so Student Body, written and directed by Leanne Kerr, and they made a lot of buzz, a lot of big deal about a female-led horror movie, with this
Mm-hmm.
with this movie when it came out. And so, as we were saying in the intro, before we really get into the meat of the movie, lots of one stars, and if you read them, they're one sentence long, and it feels to me like a lot of like unfair bias, incels just coming out of the woodwork to trash on this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like to just trash on this movie for no reason. They say like, "Where's all the blood?" And okay, the kill, they did some cutaway kills, but there was gore in this movie. It wasn't,
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't goreless. Um, and there was another one trashing on Harley Quinn Smith, and she didn't have a lot of lines, but what she was fine. She was better than fine in
Hmm.
this movie. So, a lot of the bad reviews I feel were completely unwarranted, and I'll give my wrap up at the end, but yeah, I just wanted to say that before we get started.
Yeah, that's fine. And obviously, like I said before, in all of our conversations, this is a spoiler laden discussion. If you haven't seen these movies, I think that I would say both of these movies are worth seeing. Absolutely.
Right, right. So also, if before we start, the way I review movies, 7 through 10 is will watch again and varying degrees of awesomeness. Right, 1 through 4 I will never watch again and stay away from these movies. Fives and sixes I will not watch again, but I still think you should see based on the merit that I'll talk about. And if you don't think you'll like it based on what I say, then you can put it in the don't watch category. But fives and sixes, I think you should still see, and we'll revisit those numbers later.
Yeah, well, so I mean, that's the thing that's interesting. Um, I've never dug deeply into how people rate, like, and that's one of the things that's interesting with Rotten Tomatoes. And so, uh, I don't know the criteria. And Rotten Tomatoes, with the people that do their tomato approved critics
Right.
that you see links to, those critics have their own pages and they have their own criteria. Sometimes they're from 0 to 5 stars or whatever. Sometimes it's to 10. Sometimes it's something different. Maybe sometimes it only goes to 4. Um, so do they say just fresh or rotten whenever they submit a review and then there's a link to their own review that has a different scale? Or does the quality that they give on their scale, if it's higher or lower than 50% threshold, it just gets that fresh or rotten by Rotten
Right.
Tomatoes? Do you
And
know?
I don't know. And then Rotten
Okay.
would do like an aggregate, like they have 100 fresh and 15 rotten. They just do the
Right,
percentage
yes. And,
that way.
and I believe that that's all it is. I don't think it's
Okay.
doing an aggregate with their own scores. I think it's just like, is it fresh or is it not? And
And
then
if
it's just
if
like,
the
yeah, it's
comp
ever. And
if the
that's
co-
why it's such a
yeah.
poor tool to use.
Sure. If the company writes a big enough check, they just give it a 98% fresh and
They're gonna get a bunch of tomato approved
yeah.
critics to just fucking boost it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I ask that just because, for a lot of reasons, as far as what you see and what guides you, because things get tainted the way they are, like whether it was in IMDb or whether it's in Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes for Student Body doesn't have any critics, tomato approved critics. There's no critic analysis. It's just audience score, which is sitting at 50%, which is kind of fair because it's sort of like middle of the road type thing.
hmm
So just wondering. So how in depth? Because I think we're both a little bit on the weaker side of Student Body. How in depth do we want to go through the synopsis list? We can kind of give a broad strokes here. We don't
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
go into
We're gonna have
detail.
to we're gonna have to do broad strokes because I didn't watch this one yesterday like I usually do. Um, just so everybody knows, on Tuesday night when we stream, I watched both of the movies the day before on Monday, or the day of, so they're fresh. I watched Student Body last Saturday, so we're talking like 9, 10 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can barely remember. I'll remember as we talk about scenes. The scenes will
Yeah.
come back, but I'm
Okay.
not going to be able to lay this thing out,
Well,
unfortunately.
so here's the thing about laying it out is that this movie, for me, we'll just get into it and we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah. Let's just see
Um,
how it goes.
so the basic premise of Student Body is that there are high school youths at this sort of prep school. It's a fancy tuition
Yeah.
revolved school where there's a crest and a uniform,
Yep.
and it focuses on a group of friends, and there's a conflict where one of them is a all-star student and the others are kind of like whatever never do well type kids,
Right.
and they all fail the test, but their one friend passes, and they want that friend to convince the teacher to let them retake it, but the teacher won't let them, and so that causes the conflict, and then something happens where they force the girl to do something to compromise the teacher, and now chaos kind of erupts with sort of a revenge plot. So here's the thing about this: you know the whole story pretty much once you get to that beat in the movie. You know what's happened. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
antagonist, you know
Y-
who the person is.
Yeah, I mean they don't even really hide it. Like they kind of have like one red herring, but you don't even think that maybe he could be it. Like you know
Oh,
that yeah,
the other guy
the
that
other
did the
the
mask,
other guy,
the
yeah,
actual
yeah.
mascot.
Yeah, the actual mascot,
Okay,
and
so
they play that off like maybe, but it's definitely the math teacher like right away, right?
right, so for me, I think that it was I watched the timestamps when I was viewing it, and right around the 20-minute mark, the first 20 minutes nearly of this movie are all almost a music video, and I really dug it.
Yeah. So what the big difference between Student Body and Texas is gonna we're gonna talk about is the writing, right? The
Hmm.
the character work of Student
Sure.
Body and the lack of character work in Texas Chainsaw, right? Because they're both pretty vapid slashers, right? So but in Student Body, they spend a lot of time setting up a pretty good story and trying to
Hmm.
make you care for the characters, and they do work, and there are some really good twists and plot points in this movie. Um, was it great? No. Was it good? Yes. Should you watch it? Yes. So here we go. Right? How does it start? The right. So
Well,
like
it
the
starts
opening
more or less.
scene, the opening scene is the one you just said, where the teacher explains that they all failed, and they're like, you didn't cover this in class. He said it was in the reading. He puts a problem on the board. He makes the smart girl go complete it. She completes it, so he goes, you all failed. She passed. Fuck you. And she's a real hard ass math teacher, right? So you've got in the clique, right? You've got
Hmm.
the bitchy popular girl, you've got the smart girl, right, or the pretty ugly
Uh-huh.
girl as they call her. Then you've got like the jock girl, you've got the class clown,
Hmm.
and you've got the nice
Yep.
guy, right?
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I liked about Student Body is this movie follows formula to a
Yes.
T, and tried, in my opinion, to shoot like an old late 70s, early 80s slasher. Like some scenes felt like the original Halloween to
Well,
me.
even like any of the classic 80s movies where it was like, breakfast club type style, Pretty in Pink, those kind of movies where there's scenes with the gang, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where it's shot in a certain way, there's dialogue happening a certain way, that music track is playing in the background,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
sort of just like entertaining, having fun, happy go lucky. And oh, you get a day in the life of their day in high school in this place, and they do that really well, and it gives you really cool insight into each character. They
yep,
flesh out all their little idiosyncrasies about how they interact with one another and things they like or don't like, and
yep,
their home environments. And they each get a chance to shine with the things that they're kind of into or do, and that happens throughout the whole movie, and that is a redeeming quality of it.
right,
The
right,
other thing that I think is really kind of a nice touch, whether it's intentional or not, or it's just uh, the age gap between all of these actors in this film, uh late 20s to maybe not even 20, I'm sure, like, and they're playing high schoolers, and so like
right.
sort of a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it has to happen in Hollywood,
Right.
definitely.
And so it's
Uh,
understanding because like the lead girl that's kind of bitchy, like you could see there's like you got bags on your eyes, kind of like you're not in high school.
yes, definitely not. Well, I mean,
So I kind of like that.
so Harley Quinn Smith was a teen in Yoga Hosers, and I that was years ago. So she has to be
Yeah,
in her
she's
20s.
23.
Yeah,
She's 23.
she has to be in her 20s.
The one nice guy's 22, and the girl that I said looked a little bit older. She's 28. I don't think anyone else is really outside those. Some of them don't have ages, so I imagine they're probably early 20s at most, from what I at least saw on IMDb.
Right.
So at any rate, so yeah, so they get into this issue where, and the teacher goes into this long monologue about a story about the fiddler and the prairie, where Fiddler encounters people building their prairie home. It's
Yeah.
this like long drawn out story. This Fiddler's like, I don't have any food or a place to go. Can I please have some food or stay with you for a night? And they're like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And they turn him away. And he uses it as like, life's not fair. Don't be a fiddler. Build the prairie, the
Right.
home, and you'll be fine. And this test and you failing is an example. Like, uh, Jane got the test, got the questions right on the quiz, and so you're not retaking it. You should
Yeah.
have not been a fiddler.
Right. That's his moral is what
Yeah.
he says to Jane. He says, Jane, don't be a fiddler. Like your friends are losers. They're dragging you down. You'll never get anywhere
Mm-hmm.
with these kids. And she does. She does. She's like the smart one who doesn't quite fit in, but she's in the gang because of the backstory, right? So Merritt, who's the popular bitchy girl, is the has the almost like a mom type character to Jane, or at least feels responsible for Jane, and we don't know why, and it unravels a little bit during the movie, and they don't actually tell us which like they allude to it and they give us enough information to put it together, but they don't get into the specifics, and which I thought was fine because I actually don't think the specifics were necessary. Just the gist was good enough. Um, so okay, so but we'll get to that later again, as we keep going back and forth.
Right.
Uh, all right, so the day in the life, right? Harley Quinn Smith's character is a field hockey player. Then there's the mascot who like bullies her a little bit, and then the we got the funny guy who likes that character, so he runs out there to stick up for her, and the mascot punches him in the face, and we get
Mm-hmm.
with some funny one-liners from the aftermath of that. We get Merritt, who's really trying to con Jane into going after this math teacher because if she fails, if she doesn't get into some Princeton, I think,
Yeah.
her mom says she won't get any of her trust fund.
Right. And
Um,
she hates the mother that she has at home.
yeah, and then we get it.
Because wait, because they have their backstory is they have the same father, correct?
I think so.
Because here's what was confusing because I'm pretty sure that they dropped that early on that was like their thing, like it's not my father or something, that they have the same
Right.
father. But the way that they shoot it, they shoot Jane like giving Gaga eyes at Merritt like the whole fucking movie, but is how it seemed to me. Like that she was fawning over her
Right.
because I don't think it was Ellis, but so it's like for me it was confusing or ambiguous. Like
Uh,
why is she like looking at her?
now Merritt.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, okay. So Merritt was definitely into the nice guy, and so was Jane. So that was a point of conflict. And yes, so the all right. So we'll do the backstory now, I guess. Much later in the movie, it gets revealed that because Jane loves sitting in the forest and just being in there, um, which we find out early. We find out why is that apparently her mom died in the forest to some accident. We don't know what the accident was, um, and we don't know who was present or how it happened, but we know that Jane at least feels partially, if not wholly, responsible for this incident, because of how it gets revealed by Merritt and Jane in an argument later. Um, that's the only way all the everything that was said would make any sense.
See, so
Um,
this must happen at the end where they're having their conflict
this
talk,
happens
right?
at the library, yeah, in the library, yeah.
So it was at this moment that I was sort of glazing over, like, okay, yeah, they're bickering, blah 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 blah. What's happening?
Yeah,
Because, and that's bad on me.
it's
But
fine.
I swear to God, a lot of the movie it shows her looking at Merritt, like they cut the cuts, and so I was like, what is going on here? Because I don't, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
At any rate,
All right. So anyway, we go back. We go back. Now what another cool thing is during this day in the life, every once in a while in the background we hear an announcement from someone who works for the school, and it's giving us like some kind of plot device, if you were paying attention,
yeah,
that this new bulletproof glass is being installed.
right. The security system, the
Well,
cameras.
that comes later in a different announcement. So there's multiple announcements
Well,
that
there's also the fact that the guy tests the bulletproof
the
glass
bulletproof glass,
with the
right,
mascot where he has a sledge and it doesn't do anything.
right, right. So there's a couple of those thrown in there. So naturally, the gang, they're the bad kids. So they're gonna break into the school and go
Raid
swimming.
the gym teachers.
Yeah. Oh, raid the
They're
gym
going to
teachers. Whiskey. Right.
whiskey because they found out from the real mascot,
The real mascot.
who's kind of a dick,
Yeah.
that they found out that the gym teacher keeps 8 bottles of whiskey in their bottom drawer, and so they're like, "Oh, he told me I'm gonna go get it."
Yeah. So, but before that, real quick, through this embellishment, let's say, that Merritt and Jane cooked up, they're going to go to the principal, and then Merritt's going to use her father's influence leverage
Right, he's on
to
the board,
yeah, the school board,
the school board.
to get the principal to fire this math teacher because he will
Right.
not give the retake.
Yeah. Right. So Merritt needs to get into this college. Failing this test is going to stop that from happening. So she needs to blackmail the teacher because the teacher is unwilling to compromise to let anyone retake it. Jane goes and tries to. They try to get Jane to blow the math teacher or have sex with the math teacher.
or
That doesn't go well because
or just convince him.
right, but I think it was implicit whenever they're like
Well, that's what I'm.
sexually
So that's what
take
I'm
care of
saying.
him.
Like,
Oh, because they say like, oh, we see the way you look at him. You
so
have a
yeah,
thing for him.
yeah. So
She
so
tries to like convince
this
her that she's into it.
this is one thing I really liked about the writing. Is like Jane is not a bad kid, right?
Huh?
She
She's
hangs
like
out.
the good kid.
She,
She's just with these fuck ups.
yeah, but she definitely lies, and you see her stuck, rock and hard place kind of thing, and she, as teenagers would do, once again, good writing, they make the decision to lie, right? So she
Right.
definitely is not necessarily a good kid. Like she's implied to be, and she's pretty much obviously the final girl right from the beginning, but she definitely implies that she was assaulted by the math teacher when
Yeah.
he just put his arm on her shoulder or his hand on her shoulder, and yeah, he said some fucked up shit, which the principal even says. Yeah, he said some fucked up shit, but he's a teacher. He's
Yeah.
said that
He's
he's trying to teach you stuff.
he's expecting more out of you.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. So maybe okay, maybe you can't touch a student, and that's fine. But he definitely didn't assault her. He definitely didn't assault her, and then Merritt, like,
I was thinking like some people are gonna hear you say
yeah.
maybe you can't register like
All right, maybe you
like
can't
oh
put your
yeah you
hand.
definitely can't.
Yeah, maybe you can't put your hand on a student's shoulder, but
Yeah, it
Merritt,
just
but
sounds funny.
Jane implies he assaulted her. Merritt straight up says that he sexually assaulted her, and the principal has no choice but to fire him. So he does.
Right. Yeah. So he fires. That all happens, and so then they want to have a party. They want to go back to the school
To steal the
uh,
whiskey.
to steal the whiskey and then just like have fun at the
Yeah.
school.
So they go swimming.
Yep. So
Uh,
yeah, they go swimming. They get the whiskey, which they only get one bottle because the guy must have he left a note saying, "Yeah, one for you, the rest for me,"
yeah. And then
and he took the other.
he drinks alone in his car all night.
Yeah, been there.
Yep.
So he, so yeah, they're just hanging out doing their fucking thing. Then they're swimming,
Yeah.
and this is where like
This
a few
this
things kind of.
yeah, this is where it starts, right? So Jane and Elias, right?
I think it's Ellis.
Alice,
Yeah,
Jane and Alice, have a moment, but she kind of gets distracted. So then, Merritt says some bitchy stuff, and she runs off. So Merritt tries to hit on Ellis, and Ellis is just like, "You're a bad person." And
right,
so Merritt gets pissed that she can't just have a guy she wants, so she storms
right.
off. Um,
And Nadia and French
yeah, the
are
right. So
having their
yeah,
moment.
they're having their
He's getting
moment.
shit faced.
He's
He's getting shit
totally shit
faced.
faced. Yeah,
He's blasted,
yeah,
and they're like real close, and she's clearly like trying to like get him to make a move, and
yeah,
she even goes so far as like, I don't have to say it, do I?
yeah.
And he's
How
like,
do you not know?
he's like, say what? Not know what? And
Yeah.
like, and just and
So they go to kiss and
they're bad to
yeah,
make out. Yeah,
yeah, and he just runs off in Ralph's.
yeah. He gets sick right there and pukes on the ledge, and she
Yeah,
backs up. She's like, okay, fuck off.
great. Yeah, great.
So then he runs off to the bathroom to continue puking.
And we get the first kill.
This is where some would argue the movie finally started. Because this is the thing with slashers. Some people are watching these fucking movies because they want to see the shit happen. Now, we can both appreciate storytelling and character development and
Sure.
would say that this is relevant and good filmmaking whenever you invest in the characters so that you care about what's going to happen.
Right.
So that makes sense and we're okay with that. I wanted this movie to now like turn the couple notches up and get exciting. Sadly, it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a short movie,
3?
83 minutes. I can't remember exactly. Short movie. So yeah, we've gone through a lot of story, a lot of character development. We get the first kill at this point. We're halfway through the movie. There's like 20, 30 minutes of movie left, and they've got like five people to kill. So it's gonna come quick. Um, but in between each kill, we still get a lot of dialogue, a lot of running, a lot of chasing, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
getting cornered and locking themselves in this room, and then he shows up, and they run into another room because they're in a giant school, which
Right.
we had mentioned. There's new security, so they're completely on lockdown, and they can't break the fucking windows.
Right. And the
uh,
whole idea of the killer, they don't know who the killer is because the killer is costumed as the
Mascot,
mascot for the school, Anvil Al from
right?
Allendale. And so all you see is the mascot, which is a stupid fucking mascot,
It is
just a
it.
guy
Yep.
with
It
with
is
a
it's a little creepy in some of the shots, like
sure.
with the big smiley mask. Um, the weapon is a sledgehammer, which I actually thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, and okay, so back to the first kill, right? It's a cutaway, a classic cutaway
Yeah.
too.
Bathroom stall.
Bathroom stall. He comes in, sledgehammer comes up, goes into stall, and cutaway.
Yeah.
Um, which people who complain about that kind of thing, man, how many times have you not seen Jason kill someone? Like
Sure.
the knife comes down, cutaway. It's constant. It's a thing. It's
It's a
not
trope
something
or
you get.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It's not something you get to
It's
complain about.
fair. Plus, like, what are you gonna do? Like, the movie has not been that kind of movie. You can't just all show some kid getting his brains splattered
Right.
Negan style
Yeah.
because, like, it's not that kind of a movie.
Right.
It's not meant to do that.
So eventually, where's Frenchie? Where's Frenchie? They go looking. They find him, and
Yeah.
this was pretty good. Like this was graphic. Like the blood, the head, the body.
Yeah,
Like
it's pulling around the drain.
yeah, yeah. They did a fine job, here with the body. Which once again, they usually do with the cutaway kills. Is the body reveal is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, so now, because they've all been drinking and they're all teenagers. Once again, Harley Quinn Smith's character Nadia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nadia is out for blood, right? So they all get wet.
Because she thinks it's
It's
the
the
mascot, the guy that
mascot,
is the mascot, the kind of jockey guy that's been douchey
right?
earlier to French because he punched him already. It
Right,
must be him fucking with him. So
right.
she's out for blood and thinks it's him.
So they start going running around the school. They all have one kind of like chintzy weapon. Um, Eventually, they come face to face with him. There's like security doors. He's got a clicker. He clicks
Hmm.
the door behind him closed. So they run. They all go through it except for Nadia. Nadia just stands there and lets it close, turns around, and decides to have a showdown with this guy.
Yeah.
This kill I appreciated. Once again, for people who are hating on Harley Quinn Smith, she's got a couple of lines in the movie. This is one of the scenes. This is real emotion. She screams at the guy. She attacks the guy. She gets hit in the head by the sledgehammer.
Immediately.
It's not very graphic. The dead body makeup did a great job of the cracked
Hmm.
skull, whatever, right? There's a little bit of blood. She's instantly dead. Okay? Any other movie would let characters get whacked by a sledgehammer tons of times. They'd have a big fight
Sure.
about it. No, you get hit in the head with a sledgehammer, you are dead. Once again, this is good writing. Anyway.
Well, but so that's the thing. Like, where there's some things where they're being serious about it or more realistic, and then there's other things that are more traditional tropes. It's a little uneven, like a little bit. Like, what's the focus? What am I meant to care about? I agree with like the elements that have been good. They are good, but like it's still empty feeling.
Oh yeah, no, no,
And
no, no. Once
like
again,
these things are happening. Yes, I know, and I'm just saying
yeah.
like yeah, they're happening. I acknowledge, but I'm still not engaged in a caring way. Like these two characters did die, but like I liked them, but the stakes weren't really there. It was just sort of events unfolding. The tension wasn't choreographed in a way that you were on the edge of your seat in any kind of way.
Right. Um, yes, I agree. The play-by-play is very much textbook, right?
Hmm.
You know the setup, you know the next scene, you know the next scene. There's like a couple twists in the story, which I didn't see coming, and both of them I really enjoyed. But yes, there are no real stakes here. As far as slasher go, it's very formulaic, right? Um, and that's why it didn't get a 7.
All right,
uh,
so
okay.
remind me because you actually remember a lot more
Yeah,
about the
I'm
movie
starting
beat for beat
I'm starting to
than I
remember.
do. Because yeah, no, I think I remember, and you're like describing the whole fucking movie. Okay, so Nadia goes, and now there's just the three of them left. There's Merritt,
Yes.
Jane, and Ellis.
Right. So they chill, I think, in one of the rooms, or this is where they get to the library. Um, and eventually Ellis kind of goes off on his own. No, there's definitely a red room, a dark room.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Yes.
developing the print.
Yeah, yeah, and they go in the dark room, and it's all like photos of them or photos of Jane.
Yeah, because he was
Uh,
taking photographs during the. He took a photograph of her at the front
yeah,
of the class when she solved the equation. He
yeah,
took a photo of it, just sort
yeah,
of like in a snarky way.
yeah, and so
But
they're
now
all,
he's looking at it like, oh,
yeah,
look, I am kind of into you,
yeah, so
I
they're
guess.
all, so they're all up there, and this is where Ellis just gets whacked like he wasn't even a character in the movie. Like, this is like the one character who just wanders off and you don't see him again.
Hmm.
Or I mean, you do. He's just dead. So Jane finds his body though, runs back to get Merritt, then they run off, and this is where they get to the library.
Hmm.
This is where the a lot of the backstory gets revealed about Jane's mom dying in the woods. It was an accident, but no more details are shared.
Hmm.
I'm your mom, Merritt says to Jane, like crazily, like I'm supposed to, like she's so stressed out, like this crazy
Yeah, that she
stressed
feels
out
that she has to take care
teenager.
of her
Yeah.
and look out for her.
And I mean, you do. There's a moment of sympathy for the popular bitch character who like you've
Hmm.
hated up to this point. Um, and then Jane pushes her off the balcony and she dies.
Yeah,
this was this was probably my favorite twist.
yeah.
Because it's like it was an obviously it was like an accident. Like I mean, she obviously meant
Hmm.
to push her, but she didn't mean to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is Jane, who's our protagonist. She's supposed to be our hero, but she definitely lied to get the math teacher fired, and now she just killed her supposed best friend, half sister, whatever you want to call her.
Hmm.
Um, so now we're conflicted, and there's nobody left, so it's time for the showdown, right? She falls down, she stabs him in the ankle with a pencil, so she gets to run away, right? And
Hmm.
she does. Oh, she steals the keys um, from him, I think. I can't. This
Yeah,
this
I
is a
think
little
so.
fuzzy. This is a little fuzzy.
Well, yeah, because they and then she gets stabbed in the calf, and so she's
Right.
kind of
So
like,
she's limping and he's limping.
mhm, right.
She gets out. They go to the woods, presumably where the accident happened beforehand. Um, and I actually don't remember how this ends.
Well, so the you find out what's occurring because after she does the library thing happens, she goes back to the math teacher's room, correct, to confront him. Or when does he has
Oh,
she has a conflict with him?
Yes, they had. Yeah, well, before the fight, right? Before the fight where she stabs him with the pencil, which she actually now I think about it might have been in the thigh and not the ankle.
Yeah,
She,
because they're both already hurt, right?
yeah,
By the
they
time
had
they get to
they have a conversation where he no 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 he she hasn't attacked him yet and he hasn't
okay,
attacked her
okay,
yet because at this point he says you can thank me later
right,
essentially for killing all of your dead weight and
right.
and paving the path for your bright future
He's
and
commending her because
yeah,
she was a hammer, and
right,
he references his story.
yeah,
She
yeah,
did the right thing. This is what you had to do.
she kind of uses this moment or this moment he's having because she's not having it to kind of
Right.
to kind of get close to him. When she gets close to him, she attacks him, and because she attacked him, well, he's like, well, you ungrateful bitch. I did all this for you, and now I have to
Yeah.
kill you too. Darn.
Yeah.
Which okay. um, which I thought was, I don't know, the way it was written with his motivations. You think he would have just let her go and just checked and see if like would she have turned him in? I would have been probably
Right.
more interested to see that ending where she
Sure.
like just comes to school the next day and tells the principal that she made it up and lets him come back to school and like
Right.
lives her life and he lives his life and no one ever talks
Mhm.
about it ever again. Of course that's not what happened. So they get to the woods. Once again, I don't remember how she gets. I mean, I know she gets the sledgehammer somehow. Because there's a
Yeah, well
there,
she climbs a tree and then she jumps down on him ninja style.
yeah, grabs a sledgehammer and just goes to town. Like you want to talk about like there hasn't been a
And
lot of
this was a really cool scene because this is like each she does all these swings. Now, in fairness, she's not swinging a real sledgehammer.
right.
She is incapable of swinging the sledgehammer this way. I'm watching her. I'm like, you're gonna fucking hurt your back if you try to do that. That doesn't have 5 or 8 pounds of sledge at the end of that fucking stick. It was a little annoying to me. But she's each time she hits, blood spray on the face, and then she
Oh
goes
yeah.
again, more spray, and it keeps happening, and it's
Oh yeah.
very convincing and very gory in a awesome kind of way. It was a great effect because it just
Right.
kept getting wetter and redder and
Yeah.
wetter and redder.
And it was
I love
great.
that part.
It was great because once again it was realistic, and I think all the kills to this point have been realistic, although not so gory. but
Right.
we do get some gore delivered in this final kill, and
Yeah, and it was sort of like the catharsis of like her character just venting and like just like
well, right,
shedding the skin of whatever like she had achieved or gotten through. It's the whole final girl thing. Like
right,
it's the
right. Well,
release.
yeah, I mean, she had just gone through not only fighting for her life, but
It's
she
funny. We're
she was
talking Final Girl, and we're gonna be talking about Texas Chainsaw, which the term
yeah,
created by a woman that was writing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
right. Also, I mean, more more similarities between the films as well, right?
Sure.
Um, so how does it end? We get her
She it
dragging
cuts.
this. Yeah,
Yeah,
it cuts. Well, it cuts to the actual mascot. Get
he's
waking,
waking up in his car,
waking up in his
his
car,
SUV. There's
windows
two
down.
other neighbors that are like one's on a jog, one's
Yeah,
getting the paper at the curb, and they look down the road and they're all looking puzzled. You don't get to see what it is yet until it cuts to Jane,
just
bloodstained,
covered in
dragging
blood.
the anvil or
Yeah,
the sledge.
yeah, dragging the sledgehammer, and then credits.
Yeah,
Uh,
cut to credits.
yeah, so it was a good movie. It was a good movie. And I gave you the rating system before, uh, because both of these movies are so um, just like all over the place on the spectrum. So I wanted you to fully understand how I rated this movie,
Uh,
and that is that I give it a 5 as a
that's
movie,
yeah. I was gonna yeah. I
as
was
a
gonna give it the same.
so I give it a 5 as a movie, and then for the writing and the twists, because there were two that I really enjoyed. Um, I do give it a 6. So it still doesn't make it to the 7 where I'm gonna watch it again, but it's still
Right.
right in that sweet spot where I think you should definitely check it out if you like slashers, two, if you think you'll enjoy this kind of like young adult horror slasher dramedy
Yeah, I
with
could see
and
this
it
being like an intro to horror type movie where
yeah
you're not
yeah
really into it yet, but you're dabbling into it.
it's
It
also
might work for you.
yeah, it's also very woke in this time of wokeness. And it doesn't like shove it down your throat and like make it like it's just very subtle and casually like you know everybody's represented and
Uh huh.
it's done very well on all fronts. Um,
So my favorite part, there were four unnecessarily sexual one-liners and jokes delivered by Merritt. Do you
oh
remember them?
no, I would have said
And I
Frenchie.
love them. I want to use them,
Oh okay,
but I feel like I wouldn't be allowed to use them because I'm not Merritt.
right.
So first one is she says that her mother Kathy, if she finds out about such and such, is going to nail her labia to the dining room floor. I was
Right,
like, where
right.
did that come from? That was like,
Yes.
that's weird. That's a
That
weird thing to say.
I know all the lines you're about to say. Go on.
Uh, the next one was I think she was talking to Jane. Jane was doing something. She says, "Chill your clit."
Chill your clit. Yeah.
Great. The next one, Jane was being sort of weak sauce about something, and she tells her to grow a uterus, which I
Yep.
think is an awesome dig when because it's sort of like a female version of saying uh, grow some
Grow
balls.
some balls. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Grow
Oh
a
yeah.
uterus. And the last one, which I thought was great, which I think I will use, is she's frustrated. Something doesn't go her way. Or something bad happens. Instead of saying "God damn it," she says, "Suck my tits." It's so unnecessary. But I
Yeah.
loved that one. All four of those are just weird. Uh, they were good comical relief for me.
Right. So yeah. So once again, to the writing, Leanne Kerr, written and directed. You know, for your first time out, like I would be proud. I think the movie was if it was my first movie,
Oh shit, yeah.
Shit.
I mean, but
What
yeah,
a first yeah, what a first
yeah.
movie.
I agree with the five. I would never rewatch it, but I can see redeeming qualities of it. It wasn't absolute garbage. I loved the first 20 minutes because I liked that sort of referencing. It made me think of I don't know if you're a fan of 3 O'clock High, but I am a huge fan of 3 O'clock High.
I don't know what that is.
Holy shit. We should watch 3 O'clock High together someday. It's a great. It's just weird new guy comes to school, and dorky nerdy kid accidentally touches this guy and doesn't know you don't touch this fucking kid. That kid vows that morning, me and you, 3 o'clock, we're fighting in the parking lot, and so the whole day is spent this kid trying to get out of this impending fight from this badass that is going to kill him at the end of the day. And it's awesome the lengths that he goes, and it's hijinks, and it's
All
just
right.
one day. It's perfect.
Sounds good.
I highly recommend it. So, all right,
Okay.
are you ready to move on?
After nearly 50 years of hiding, Leatherface returns to terrorize a group of idealistic young friends who accidentally disrupt his carefully shielded world in a remote Texas town.
Man, I
Directed
am
by
so excited.
directed by
David
David
Blue
Blue
Garcia.
Garcia. David Blue Garcia, whose um, credits include Tejano as
Hmm.
director and cinematographer on Bloodfest. Now, I have not seen Tejano, but Bloodfest was awesome, and I don't know how much credit a cinematographer should get, but good job, buddy. That was a great movie.
Okay, so I don't know where to go with this film. Like, I mean, there's so much to talk about, and I feel that you have to talk about intent with this. I think that you have to talk about the production woes that this film had
Okay.
and potentially might have had that wasn't really so like this was originally um going to be directed by two other dudes who quit a week into filming.
Hmm.
They were on set for 1 week, had creative differences with Lionsgate, I think is one of the production companies,
Okay.
and they split. So then this guy had to come in and take over. So everything was already baked in. The script, the screenplay, it's already locked in. And now he reshot everything that they had already done, and that's where things went.
Okay. I
So
was not
I feel like that has a lot to do with how I interpret the movie, or
okay.
how I see it, and it gives me more adjustment to how I want to, how much consideration I want to give, because um, this is currently I don't know how does popularity work on IMDb. It's currently rated at a 7. Like it's up there. People are
Well,
talking
well,
about
that's
it.
what everybody's talking about. It just came out, right? But
Yeah,
it's got a 5 overall rating.
5.0.
Student Body had a 4.6. Once again, a completely polarized movie. It's all ones and tens. Like people are not calling this movie middle of the road. They're like, yeah, I loved it and I
Right.
hated it.
Rotten Tomatoes, I will say, however, 105 critic reviews, 30%, and audience over 500 ratings, 33%. So
Yeah.
on the whole, negative experience.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
sure.
if you capitalize everyone's opinion. So are you, let's say, okay, are you on the camp of where you're more positive feelings or more
Okay.
negative feelings?
All right.
If you are balancing blind lady justice,
All right.
where are you at?
Generally, overall, this was a bad movie. Um, but I still enjoyed it. Um, and I didn't enjoy it in the way I enjoy like a horror comedy. I enjoyed it for the gore. I enjoyed it for the character work of just like a couple random performances. Um, I really enjoyed the final girl. I enjoyed the the rednecky guy, right?
Richter. I'll see you at
Richter.
the party, Richter.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed Richter.
Yeah, who the
I
fuck is named Richter in Harlow, Texas?
Yeah, I actually also liked Melody, the sister. So I did like both of the main.
Ew.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So
What?
no, no, no.
What?
Well, let me tell you what.
Nobody liked Melody. Oh, you liked her as like being an awful person.
I liked her as like her character was the only character with a moral standing, right? Like so when it happened, when the action begins and she cares about this woman's life, the fact that she died. Nobody else cared, right? And she was the only driving force to leave the town, right? Even the final girl had decided that she's fine staying, and Melody was like, "No, we're getting the fuck out of here now." So she was like the only you know driving force of good, if you will, throughout the movie.
I don't know if that's accurate, but okay.
I think it is. I think it is because,
Okay.
well, even the final girl is not necessarily um, a good character, right? She wanders
I don't think
off.
in fairness, I don't think anybody is a good character. I don't think there are really characters here in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they're kind of caricatures.
So before we get into it, okay,
Yeah.
so I kind of want to lean on this is a good movie,
Okay. All right.
but I'm not really sure why I feel that way
Yeah. Okay.
because I want to perceive it in a similar way that I perceive Malignant a little bit,
Sure.
but
Sure.
I don't because it's like we said earlier at the start of this. Leatherface to me, I don't give a shit.
Right. Right.
So the whole canon rebooting the franchise, like Halloween and Halloween Kills, and now Halloween Ends, like that's more near and dear. It has more history. It has more meaning. It has more something, history and lore and involvement. And Leatherface doesn't. Leatherface was just one of a handful of cannibals from a first movie that had a lot of other things that it was about, but it wasn't really, he was sort of he was the symbol that people saw for to make more movies of, like the big bad, but it wasn't really about him, and so like it was sort of like cheap movie making type stuff to make him like the bad guy. So it doesn't mean anything, and so I think that if you're making a movie, like I think that the filmmakers are acknowledging like this is a garbage premise, so let's just have fun. And if I'm perceiving this movie in that way, then I'm kind of into it. And the things that they do that seem so stupid, so absurd, so schlocky, so cheap, I kind of think are entertaining because that's all that it's meant to be. It's just a set piece to let him do some crazy shit and be hyper realistic and hyper gory with it and just have fun. So I think that he's like clued in, like that's all that this is supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's all it was, whether it was supposed to be that or not. It was a straight up gore fest. I mean, the kills start 10 minutes into the movie. Almost no exposition. It's where college age kids buy in a town. What? College age kids buy in a town? And we're going to auction it off to our hipster friends, and they're going to open donut shops,
Fucking
and people are
art
gonna,
gallery. I was
yeah,
like, you are not Candyman. Shut
yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck up.
and people are gonna drive 7 hours from the airport to visit this town.
In your Tesla without any charging stations.
Yeah. So
Okay.
okay, so the premise we obviously is completely ridiculous, right? Um,
But so if that's the case, why aren't we viewing it under the same lens that you view Malignant? Because Malignant starts off, this is a fucking joke.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, feel like Malignant used tools to show the audience that it was a joke, and
That's yes,
Texas was playing it straight. And
seemingly yes.
the only movie, in my opinion, that played it straight, that was completely ridiculous and hilarious and pulled it off, and I said this once before in episode something early, Snakes on a Plane, because they didn't play that for camp at all, and it still, to me, came off completely hilarious, and it was
Mm,
played straight the whole time. And
okay.
whether they intended on that or not, whatever, that's how I enjoyed it. Yeah, so this movie is playing it straight, and I'm not laughing. I'm not getting the joke. I'm going, I hope he kills someone soon, because that's the only way I'm gonna get some entertainment out of this.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's so funny about it. Um, I think it's just so clear that everything about the movie is just set up where it's like shitty people doing shitty things, and now a lot more shitty people are here, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be awesome to watch all of these people get obliterated by this dude that is hell
Yeah,
bent on tearing shit up.
yeah. And if I had
So
to,
it's a weird fucking movie.
it is, and if I had a complaint, which I have a handful, but like my main complaint would be that they could have taken their time. Like this was another 89 minutes or 87 minutes. They could have why didn't they let him scatter from the bus? Why didn't he have to chase them all through town? Why why did he have to kill so many of them I mean the bus scene was cool, but he could have killed like 10 of them on the bus and it still would have been cool.
Yeah,
I
but you
would have
didn't know any of those people on the bus, and so you didn't care. So really, the only
yeah.
the tight knit group between what Ruth, Dante, Lila, Melody, and Richter were the
Yeah.
only ones that you cared about. So like, there's only a couple of them.
I know. I'm nitpicking. I just think that they could have done some really cool cat and mouse style jump scare kills in all these stupid buildings, all scattered throughout the town, before he went back to the main characters who have now attempted to secure their exit and are close to getting away for the showdown, right?
So that's the thing that I agree, and it's similar to Student Body in that way where it's like the tension, the stakes, the on the edge of your seat action beats of what's occurring with the characters with this force of nature that's after them. They're not there.
Yeah,
It's just things are transpiring and you just know, yeah, he's gonna go kill all these people. There's not a lot of surprises or twists or turns. You're just waiting for it all to happen and
yeah.
unfold, and you're hoping that it'll be entertaining when you see it. And it is entertaining when you see it.
It is. It is. This is definitely some of the best gore I've ever seen. Some really interesting kills with a chainsaw. It's not like it's interesting kills overall. I mean, there were some non-chainsaw interesting kills, but like, um, they definitely the amount of things he throws with the accuracy he throws them is crazy to me. I love like when he hits Melody with the hammer, just like he sees her on the stairs and just throws it. Right?
Yeah,
He
yeah. Which was I did not see that coming.
yeah, I
That
didn't see
was
that coming.
cool because
The
he's just at the top. It's a standoff, and yeah,
yeah,
he's just like whoop,
he's got
and
the
it's
chain.
like
Yeah, later he's in the road. He's got the chainsaw. The car comes at it. He throws it at the car, runs away. like
that was a
like
moment where I kind of like was yelling at the screen, like, "How are you swerving and not hitting him direct? He just threw a fucking chainsaw. It's just a small power tool. It's
yeah,
not gonna do anything to you. It's gonna bounce off your car."
yeah,
And you like swerved like he was a goddamn deer.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
stupid.
So I mean, he's got mad skills, right?
Here's the other thing that people talk about, and you have to acknowledge: 50 years have passed by from the first movie.
Right.
He's at earliest 70.
Oh yeah,
So they turned him into now a supernatural being
sure.
when there was no reason to. That he's not a supernatural being. You don't get to fucking cash in on the fact that he's this force of evil that can't be stopped, a la Michael Myers.
Right.
That had history. That was defined in the first movie. He was shot and shot and shot and disappeared and went away. It was presented and established. He is
Right.
otherworldly. He's a presence of evil through Dr. Loomis and everything you saw on the screen. That created that character. With Leatherface, he's just a demented fucking dude that was in this house with a terrible family doing the bidding.
Right.
So
Well,
it's
I mean,
disingenuous.
they're setting up for the sequel, right? Like, I mean, even the end, like, he didn't
Right.
die. He didn't die, and
Yeah, I know, but it's just
he
like so you could
definitely
just do
should.
whatever the.
He definitely should have. Like,
Oh, you. I don't know if you might not have noticed. I fast forwarded past the credits. There's a post credit scene,
oh, is there?
and not like Marvel where it's halfway through the credits. It's after all of the fucking credits,
Okay.
which I don't even think Netflix would continue playing. Netflix has already gone on to preview three
Oh
other
yeah,
movies by the time these credits are done.
absolutely.
You're already watching Ozark season 4, so this has gone to he. It just shows him walking back to the house, his
Oh,
house.
the original
I
house.
think. I think it does. It's hard to tell. It looks like it is, but
Is it a
I
house in the
also saw,
middle? It's a house on a
yeah,
plane with nothing else around it.
yes.
Yeah, it's the house.
That you're describing every house in Texas. So his mobility, his agility, his strength, and all that just doesn't make sense. I get it. Yes, you want to create sequels and more things like that, but it's like you're creating a new character. You're trying to cash in on this original art that was made, and you're trying to revitalize it, just like Scream has been and Halloween has been. And it's just like if we're talking requels, this is definitely the lowest.
Oh,
I
definitely.
had fun, but like it's just they just do so many screwed up things with the character.
It was definitely fun to watch, and the problem with the movie is that there was no story. They had a premise on how to get the people there. They had an idea on how to set him off, um,
Uh huh.
and then every scene is a kill scene. Kill scene, kill scene, kill scene,
Right.
kill scene, action beat, action beat, action beat, action beat, action beat,
Yeah.
and then there's no one left to kill, and the movie ends. That's just it. Like, it's the way we did the beat by beat for Student Body. It's almost impossible to do the beat by beat for this movie because nothing happened. We could
Right.
literally just talk about the order he killed the people in and talk about the kills. That's all we
I
can do.
wrote that. I wrote the order that he killed the people in because I was
Oh,
like, oh, it'll be important to keep track because there's not that
well,
many people.
it's the only way to do a beat by beat. It's to do
Right.
the order he killed everyone
Okay, so
in.
before we get into the kills and the fun parts, let's talk about the things that are happening that lead to that, right?
Sure.
With the characters. Because
So the
these are
setup.
the things that seem kind of fucked up that a lot of people are upset about because you're including these aspects of the film, but you're not fleshing it out, you're not getting into it, you're not trying to make a commentary on these. So the biggest red flags, so Lila, the sister
The final girl.
of Melody, yes, the final girl, uh is a school shooting survivor.
Right. She's got the scar to prove it.
She's got a bullet wound. You see a shot of her laying down, thinking she's gonna die, with other fucking kids that have already been gunned down from a school shooting. And she's sort of talking with Richter in town and sees his assault rifle, his AR, and she's sort of grasping and processing some things, but she can't touch it. She freaks out. But then by the end of the movie, she's wielding a fucking shotgun to resolve the conflict that was presented. And that's all that whole idea is even that's the only time that they spend with that. And it's never addressed in any other way, shape, or form other than those three little snippets. The fact that the cutaway to the surviving, the interaction with Richter's gun, and then now she's holding a shotgun by the end.
Uh,
And
uh, there's the one moment with Richter at the gas station, right, with the sister kind of,
yeah, she speaks up,
yeah, about the
compensating.
gun on
Yeah,
his hip. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right. Which is more so like just meant to like define these are shitty uh, liberals that think it's offensive to carry to open carry in a state where you can open carry and whatever. So
Right.
like they're getting you to hate her, obviously. Uh,
Or not, or they're getting you to hate Richter and to side with her right out the gate. It's
uh,
once again, it's a polarizing movie. Like,
Right. So,
I can't say this enough.
but I feel like the way that it's handled, it's very clearly that she's being douchey because he didn't do anything wrong, and I think that overwhelmingly more people would be like, "What the fuck's her problem?" Like, yes, we get it. Like, I might not like open carry, but there's no need to act like that when you're at a gas station, especially when you're like on your way to a town. You're gonna be interacting with these people to create your
Yeah,
empire.
I
Like,
I
what are you
agree.
doing?
I agree that that initial scowl when she was being a jerk, but as soon as you realize that that the sister was the victim and that's why she was doing it, you
That's why she was doing it.
yeah, yeah,
No,
that's
no,
she
she's
was
doing it because she's a bitch.
maybe maybe
Okay, so what do you think about the being the shooting, like a Parkland fucking survivor? How do you feel about that being so shoehorned into the movie? Because it's kind of what it is.
Okay, so yeah, it was definitely shoehorned because it was never a struggle for her. It was a struggle for her in an inconsequential scene where she's just hanging out with Richter and we get a little more character development, but she never has to actually overcome this this PTSD
Right.
to wield the weapon. She just wields it.
Yeah.
Right? You the character growth was written in there, but we don't see it. We're supposed to see it. It's called the hero's journey. Uh,
He's
um,
like, let me get my textbook.
yeah. You know, and she's supposed to be confronted with it multiple times and reject it multiple times before she accepts it. And so none of these things happen in this movie. Um,
Again, and I'll just quick side note: this is why I don't want to shoulder a lot of the blame to the director
right? No, no, no. We
because this
can't.
was
You
already
can't.
baked
You
in
can't. Yeah.
screenplay wise.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know, this
Sure.
was not his. That wasn't his choice
We'll
necessarily.
we'll blame Chris Thomas Devlin instead.
Cool. I'm pretty sure I looked, and I don't see a single fucking writing credit for this guy. Like,
Well,
how did this guy write this? He hasn't done shit. I really
unsolicited
don't know.
unsolicited submission to the Netflix department, and
I
then
know. Yeah, you
they're
look
just
at his
they're just
IMDb, and
buying up anything.
yeah,
They'll
whatever they can
produce
get their hands on.
they'll produce anything at
Well,
this point.
dude, it was number 3 all weekend. It's number 4 today. Like, it's top
Pe-
10. Like,
pe-
and
People are gonna watch it,
yeah,
and people are gonna watch it more than once because there's no it's brain candy. There's no
yeah, it's
substance.
popcorn.
It's
Just
no yeah, you don't have to pay attention to it. It's background noise. You get a lot of good gore and a lot of good kills, and if that's
yeah,
why you watch horror, if that's one of the reasons you watch horror, then yeah, add this movie to your collection.
got plenty of it. But yeah, so to your point, yeah, so like you're right. They don't show any of her journey. Is
No.
it fucked up that it's included then as a plot device?
Right.
Is it
So
exploitative of
okay.
those kind of tragedies?
Right. So we all know about the smoking gun, right? So if you introduce it in the first act, it has to be fired in the second act, right? So we see this we see this bullet wound, and she gets a during one of the altercations with Leatherface, she's like stuck, kind of PTSD frozen on the ground, and her flashback opens its eyes. It says "Get up," and then flash to present, she gets up and runs uh, which was actually a little interesting. Why we didn't get that same sequence again later when she was wielding the weapon or before she had the choice to wield the weapon. Give me the quick flashback, and her PTSD frozen self could tell her to fucking grab the gun or die. You know, like give me something. They gave us nothing.
Right.
In
Yeah.
fact, you mentioned the shotgun. You didn't mention the AR. She comes out with the AR and pulls the trigger, and nothing happens
Right. Yeah,
because
she
she
tries
has
to
no
explain.
idea how to use
Right.
a
Right.
weapon. So not only does she wield one gun for no reason other than
For no
survival,
payoff. Yeah,
for
she's
yeah, for
trying to use it, but then
without payoff, but she does it twice.
so and see, there's so many different ways to read the scenes, and like it's you question like and it's because the reviews, just like we said, like the way that I read how Melody acted about that, uh, how there's gonna be people that view her trying to shoot the AR and be like, yeah, that's a dumb fucking liberal that doesn't know how to use a gun because you're
So yeah,
stupid.
some people are gonna see
Because
that. See that.
you
Some.
guns are good. Guns will protect you from a bad guy with a gun, or in this case, a
Right.
chainsaw. And so you need to know what you're doing. So that just proves you are an idiot. You better be prepared. Like, and
Right.
it reinforces the whole point of certain people and their
Right.
beliefs that they have with the Second Amendment.
And
It
the
solidifies it. It's like it's speaking on their behalf.
yeah, and they're doing it through a character who has a bullet wound from a school shooting,
Yeah,
who should be on the hero's journey.
right.
So yeah, okay.
It's so bizarre. It's just
It's
it's so
the
bizarre.
the movie is all over the place. It never knew what it was doing besides killing extras. Like that was the movie's main job, and it did it well. It didn't do anything else. It didn't tell us a story. Um, it didn't teach us anything. The characters didn't even learn anything by the end, right? Like which is the big miss, I think. Um, yeah.
Okay. So before what with the one other so we did the Parkland shooting thing, and I apologize for saying Parkland shooting. It's the one that sticks out in my mind.
Right,
School shooting
right.
survivor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, she's
we were
I
both in high school or right around it when Columbine happened. So for us, that was really like the landmark one
right,
that
right.
started this whole
No,
thing.
that's very
Unfortunately.
true. Yeah.
So how do you feel? And there's this is also very uh toxic conversations related to this aspect. Um, there are two black characters in this film, and
Hmm.
they start to kind of touch on very questionable racial subjects. The Confederate flag is up,
Confederate
and it
flag,
sort
yep.
of is the impetus for certain actions to occur in
Sure.
Leatherface's ward's home. And then there's the fact that like they're sort of gentrifying an area of Texas through financial means, and the main dude that's doing it, Dante, African American, and the loan officer or the banker, also an African American. Like there have been people that are talking about the fact that there's two African American people that are being the ones that are leading this kind of thing to occur. That it is sort of tinged or saturated with this racial tension,
Right.
or it's imbued into it, and so you need to see it with that lens and try to interpret what that means.
All right.
I don't read a lot into that, but that stuff is out there, and those are intentional choices to have those characters doing those things.
No,
So
it's
perhaps
it's
that's a
true.
valid.
I'm gonna say
And
that all right.
I get this is touchy. I'm not
Oh
making
yeah,
a
yeah,
stance
yeah.
one way or
No, no,
another,
no.
but it's out there.
Right, right. Okay. The Confederate flag was, I thought, not the best choice, but a fine choice for the impetus to go into the premises, to get up and out, right, to get the flag down. I like his reason for doing it. If the investors see it, they'll never give us any
Right.
money. Like we,
It
and
wasn't that he was triggered. It
right,
was that he knew that this is just not a good look to elicit the
right,
response from the people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and obviously it would have triggered him, or anyone really, anyone who looks at that flag and goes, "What the fuck is that to?" Like, we live
As
in
a
ups.
person that owns a business yourself and a person that has
Yeah,
worked for a business, there's certain things that whatever your feelings personally are, you
yeah,
just know from a business perspective, this has the chance to cause varying
right,
reactions, very positive, very negative. So
right.
you don't want that as part of the equation, so you just eliminate it. And I
Yeah,
think that that's all that had to be. That
no,
stretching was just to
yeah,
get him in there
to get
to
him in there.
cause that to get things rolling.
And it was fine. And his character didn't take it personally. His character was doing
Right.
it for the business.
Yes.
And then I'll say, as far as the banker and whomever else arrives on the bus, I think, you use the word gentrification. I feel like gentrification is mostly referred to when like white people move in and take over the neighborhood. And,
Right.
and
But dude,
I think in this case it was more like, uh, you know, trust fund 20-year-olds,
Right, like a
trust fund hipsters, let's say.
cultural
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Gen Z
Uh,
gentrification, so to
yeah,
speak.
because it was very diverse. I think there was more women than men, right? Like they definitely played to the quote unquote, minority in picking that group of 20-year-olds that was going to get massacred.
Right.
They wanted to make sure everyone was represented, and everyone was, and it was all inclusive, and that's great, and that's probably how they should have done it, and that's probably why they did it that way. Because
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from. I'm not going to go ahead
Yeah.
and say that the African American character was the main reason everyone was there, because he was the businessman, and the other African American was the loan officer, because the African Americans were gentrifying this small town.
Right.
I don't
And
think
I
so.
bring it up just because like it's so the horror in these kind of films are so fun and interesting and fucking weird because people will want to read these kinds of things. There are films that are made that have engrossing subject matter that's meant to become part of a conversation or is at the forefront to just lay bare our prejudices or our deep-seated conflicts or unresolved issues with this or that socially, culturally, uh, and so this being included is like how much of it is it meant to be a conversation starter or is it meant to just be dumb set dressing that's just led to doing this? And it's like, if that's all it is, did it have to be done in that way? You know, as a filmmaker, every choice is intentional to include it or to do it a certain way. So you're kind of left not sure how to feel because, is it an anti-gun movie? Uh,
Yeah. And then also David Garcia. You can't say that it was his choices, right? He just showed up and shot the movie. Like the choices were made for him, and he
right.
just
And
showed up. And he
so,
just showed up and shot the movie. So how much of this was maybe him trying to put some culture into the movie, or how much of it was just written that way and that's how he
yeah,
did it? For me, because the movie was not written well, uh, from a story perspective, and it didn't have a beginning, a middle, and end, and a traditional climax and things like that. I would say that they were just set dressing. That's my
yeah.
guess. That's my guess. And anyone else who is looking for meaning, I don't know. They're just trying to have a race conversation or a gun conversation.
Yeah,
You know.
that this movie wasn't trying to have. I
Or
get that.
if it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's fine.
But so, and the last thing I'll add to it that is just the only thing I want to add is like the difficulty in that perspective. Because I agree, I think it's just set dressing. The difficulty that I could have if I wanted to care more, or that some people would have, is that there are groups that feel marginalized with certain lack of representation or certain portrayals of a group that, if it's handled a certain way, they feel more left out or more antagonized or that it's targeted. And so, because this film presents things but doesn't resolve things, you're left questioning like what to feel about it. And the people that, because I could see this movie as like being like pretty anti Gen Z, anti millennial, anti influencer, anti social media group, like all the characters that end up getting butchered. I could see people that disagree with what those characters believe in
hmm
as fully embracing this movie as like, yeah, I'd love to see a bunch of those fucking people just murdered
Sure.
because people feel that way. And
Oh, that's
so
true.
to kind of like have that ambivalence with that kind of subject matter, I feel like it's a little bit, I don't want to say dangerous because it is just a stupid fucking movie in the grand scheme of things, but
Right.
it kind of is a little bit whenever you present those things and don't really handle it maturely or confidently or with a sense of purpose.
Right, right. Well, okay, so what we have here though is a villain who's mentally ill, mentally unstable, and essentially from a long line of cannibals. Um, so Kevin Smith, we'll might as well bring him up. Got in trouble for with GLAAD in Jan Silent Bob Strike Back for some dialogue of Jay's that the LGBTQ community thought was anti-LGBTQ, and his argument was that Jay is the stupidest fucking character on the planet.
Hmm.
If he says something, you're supposed to know that he's a moron and that what he says isn't real or true or anything, and that everything he says is wrong. And you
Yeah.
should believe the opposite because he's such an idiot. So, this guy kills indiscriminately, and yeah, he shows up on the bus with a chainsaw, and a dozen people pull out their phones and start filming it. Um, what was there some catharsis in this butchering of these Gen Zers or millennials, whatever you want to call them?
Uh-huh.
For me, uh, no, it was a little satisfying. I would be
For,
lying if I
for
said it
me,
wasn't.
but yeah, but I think for both of us, what was so satisfying is that we both knew that they were just there to get fucked up,
Oh
and that
yeah,
was just
yeah,
fun
yeah,
to
yeah,
finally
yeah.
see them have
Yeah,
it
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
right, sure. But
Okay,
the one
so
line is like the one is like you're canceled, bro, and then he just like then he's like
yeah,
oh then he goes
try anything, you're gonna cancel. Yeah,
and then he goes oh shit,
yeah.
and then the chainsaw comes. Um, like it was a
So okay, so let's take off the all the saturated, gross, uncomfortable, weird, serious stuff. We're done. Let's
yeah
talk about all the fun shit that happened
yeah.
here.
I feel like we have to drop it all. Anyone who brings up any of that stuff is just looking for controversy and they're trying to start an argument or they're trying to be edgy or to take an edgy approach at critiquing this film, which it definitely was not. Um,
Right.
yeah, this was a fun movie, full of great, excellent gore, and it was
Yeah,
literally
it was
nothing
so much
more.
fun.
It was nothing more than that.
Okay, so what are your favorite moments as
Oh,
far as
there are
like what?
there are so
Okay, so
many.
let's list a couple of the ones that were just awesome. Okay,
All right.
I the way it starts,
First, okay.
the first kill,
First kill.
awesome.
Oh, so good. Okay, so what do we have? The mom is having a heart attack, so they throw her in the police van. It's the sheriff, the main guy's wife or a fiance or whatever.
Yeah, Ruth,
So Dante's
girlfriend Ruth, right?
girlfriend Ruth.
Yeah,
Um,
and the
and
deputy.
then the deputy's in the back with Leatherface and Leatherface's mom, and she's dying of a heart attack. And they're driving her to the hospital. This is literally 10 minutes into the movie. And in that 10 minutes, all we have is the setup of the Dante bought this town with his friends, and they're going to auction off all these buildings to
Yeah,
their other rich friends, and they're going to start a little commune of young idealists.
the conflict is that the mother supposedly has the deed. He says, "No, you don't. Like we
Right,
bought all this." She's like, "I have the deed," and she flips out. She's like, she's all anxious and upset. She's in flabber. She has the heart attack. Leatherface is now distraught. He's watching her because that's his
right.
world. So that yeah,
Yeah. So they're in the van. She dies.
yeah,
And like you're watching the movie, this is like, oh shit.
yeah. This is not
And
good.
the deputy puts his arm out to do something,
He's
and
he's fucking with the oxygen tank
yeah,
to try to get her
yeah,
to breathe because he doesn't understand or
yeah.
whatever, and like it's not working. So finally, the deputy is like,
Oh, he's
she's
like,
gone,
stop,
more or
stop,
less. Yeah,
she's gone.
yeah.
Leatherface grabs his arm and snaps his arm in half, and it was awesome. Then he
Stabs
grabs
him in the throat
in the throat with the
his
bone.
splintered wrist. Yeah.
He goes, break.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Um, then the van crashes.
Yeah, the deputy
Oh no,
gets a shot off, and it shoots
right. The deputy gets shot off.
the
It
sheriff
shoots the sheriff, and the van
in the
crashes.
neck. In the crash, yeah.
And then we get some, we actually get a little tension here, some pretty good of that anticipatory anxiety, while the Ruth kind of comes to, and she's got to be really quiet, but she's not really good at it. She's making a lot of like wincing and whining as she's trying to not to breathe heavy, but she's breathing too loudly.
Yeah.
And you know it. You're like, you're not quiet enough. um, but Leatherface is occupied. He's got his mom. He's cutting her face off. He's
You're so nonchalant about it.
he holds it up in the sun, right? Puts it on his face. Makes himself look nice.
Like a
Um,
like a fruit roll up.
yes. What I like it what he did with his mom, and we'll get back to that later because we get to see what he did with her
After the
later.
fact, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which really was kind of a neat nod to the first movie.
Right. Um, okay, so she's first the sheriff actually isn't dead. The shot like went through the side of his head,
Yeah, he
and
starts gurgling,
he
and she's
starts
like, "Shut the
gurgling.
fuck up!"
So Leatherface comes over and kills the sheriff. Um,
And she
with,
pretends to be asleep. She's like, she real quick, she's
yeah,
like, "Oh, I'm sleeping."
yeah. Then she tries to get out, and of course, we get a slow pan, and he's behind her,
Yeah.
and that's the end of Ruth. And that kill was fine. It wasn't anything
It is
special.
pretty, but it was kind of like slow and brutal in the sense, like, yeah, because like
Right. It was
he
just a
guts
shard.
her.
It was a shard glass, right? It was
I thought he had a knife. I
It
think it
might
was
have
a
been a
knife.
knife. Yeah.
I
It
don't know
was
where. Yeah, because it was what he cut his mother's face
mother's
off with.
face
It
off
was that
with.
knife.
Right. Right.
He stabs her and then he kind of slides it across, and you can see it just like
Yeah.
disemboweling her a little. And
Yeah.
so it's pretty graphic.
Very
But then
graphic.
he lingers a moment and he like fixes her hair,
Yeah. Yeah. It
makes
was
her pretty.
makes her pretty. Well, it makes himself pretty is the line all for later. Okay. So what happens next? There
It
the
just jumps back to the township.
Melody and Dante get the bright idea to go through this woman's house
Yeah,
since
let's
she
find the deed.
so well Ruth texted Melody that the old lady
She's
died.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dante and Melody are like, well, she's dead anyway. Let's just root through her stuff and
Yeah.
find this deed. And they
Again, another reason to hate the characters. You should not be doing this.
yes, and they do find the deed. And I think
Indeed, they
it's
do.
indeed, and I think Melody found it, so she's the
Sorry.
one. So she, as as the moral compass for the movie, she's the one who
Sure.
finds the deed and and is very very upset. And now she's also justified in being super upset that they were even in there to begin with, and that it's their fault that the woman had the heart attack and died, and she feels guilty, and
Yeah.
she wants to get the fuck out.
Yeah, she's not wrong. Those are all valid. That's genuine character development,
Yeah,
like realization of these events.
right. And then we get, of course, Leatherface comes home to find Dante.
Yeah, he is in the
Uh,
kitchen. He hears those pots rattling, and he quiets them, and he
and
sees Leatherface in the pan's reflection.
yeah, and
And
slit right across the something we don't really know. He lands face down and blood everywhere, and that's as far as we know the end of him for now. But it
and it's
wasn't.
a really cool scene. Great. That's the thing. Like, this is one of the scenes that's it's from time to time there are certain scenes that have great shot or composition. This one's a really kind of a classic composition where there's a swinging, double swing kitchen door,
Oh yeah,
and it's like it's going back and forth where you just see a glimpse of what's happening and then it closes, and then a glimpse of what's happening. Really cool setup. You don't. It just alludes to what the carnage that's occurring in there, and you just get a little taste of it. Really cool.
yep.
Um, Little way that they shot that part with Dante. Yeah. Um, and so then yeah, Melody
Melody gets
runs
stuck.
upstairs.
Yeah,
She's stuck upstairs
she gets
under the
stuck
bed
under a
eventually.
bed. Yeah, eventually, and Leatherface sits down at a mirror and he starts putting makeup on his mom's face on top of his face, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So some time will pass. Where is everybody?
Well, everyone's
Richter.
out of the thing. Richter has already taken the keys
He took the
from
keys to the
the
bus.
because they're like, hey, we just found out you don't might not actually own this lady's house, so we're gonna wait till we figure it out. So all that's occurred. Um, People are still partying and shit, and I think it started to rain already at this point. Dante stirs. He's not dead.
Right. So Dante
He
gets
gets
up.
up and he goes
Awesome.
out on the
Awesome
road.
makeup. Awesome makeup here. The cut was his face from lip
Yeah,
to like the back to the top of the neck here.
yeah.
Awesome makeup job as he's
It's
like
like a big hatchet where it's just like
stumbling.
it's
Yeah.
not completely severed. It's just hanging there,
Yeah. Oh,
super screwed up.
excellent, excellent effects there.
Very unnerving. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
He's
sees Catherine, which is the investor, the banker
right.
that helps set all this up, and
So Richter's
I
there
think even
too.
Lila sees him
Yep.
at that
Yep.
point,
Richter's like, get to the bus, shut the door, don't open it, call the
and Richter
cops,
goes back to the house
and he goes right to the
to
house with his pistol.
yes.
And that
He
doesn't
comes
work.
up the stairs.
Doesn't work out for
Yeah.
Richter.
He goes to the bedroom.
He goes to the
Melody sees him
bedroom,
go to the bedroom. Leatherface is hiding behind the
hiding
door.
hiding behind the door. She kind of adjusts the mirror so that Richter doesn't
Can
get
see him.
surprised, which is cool.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a fight, but still not a lot of a fight because
No.
for a 75-year-old man, he's really strong. He's
Yeah,
just
taking care of a fucking
he's
25-year-old stud
yeah,
like Richter.
yeah. He's just the strongest, so strong.
Yeah.
Um, so he's about to die, and he unclicks the keys because he's laying down, so he sees Melody down there, and he kind
Yeah,
of
he's
he
been
just
hit with the
he like,
sledgehammer. Oh, his leg got obliterated.
oh yeah, that was great too.
His leg was inverted,
Yeah,
fucking the Arrival style with goddamn Charlie
yeah,
Sheen.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. And he kind of reaches out and dies. I think
Well, yeah, he
well,
reaches out and then like the
gets cracked
sledgehammer
in the
comes
head.
down,
Yeah.
and it
And he
makes it
hits.
more shocking for Melody under the bed.
Yeah, he crashes him in the head a couple times.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah. So Melody
So
will then
then
get the keys.
she gets the keys, and then Leatherface gets that sledge, and he's breaking down the wall.
Right, he's breaking down the wall, and he breaks down the wall, and inside is the chainsaw.
Is this Legend of Zelda? You
Yeah,
got to bomb the wall to uncover the sword? Like what
yeah.
the
Well,
fuck?
he must have put it in there.
Well, I don't know. I couldn't. I wasn't focusing. It doesn't really matter. His mother said, "Don't go in my bedroom."
Don't go in my room. Yeah, yeah,
It's like she knew what was there, and she wanted to have him not go back to his ways. I feel like
yeah.
that was the whole idea. She knows who he is. She's been hiding him,
And
but she didn't want him to go to the dark side again.
what's crazy too is I'm always trying to anticipate the writing, and I was like, so when he kills Dante, I'm like, oh, she's gonna hide in the mom's bedroom, and because she told him not to go in there, he's not gonna go in there. And
Right.
I was like praying for like some actual like growth or humanity. No, no, like the fact that she told him not to go in there doesn't even matter to the
It really
movie or the
doesn't.
story. Like he just does whatever he wants, and that's fine, whatever. But I really was hoping for a little bit more.
All I think it is just saying like she knows, and it's just cluing in a viewer that might not know that she knows that she knows. Uh,
Right,
I
exactly,
guess.
exactly. So she
So
makes
he gets the chainsaw
yeah,
and he's refurbishing it.
yeah. Melody gets the keys, and she's on her way down the stairs, and she makes a little creak, decides to turn around and look back, and oh, there he is standing at the top of the stairs with
Yeah.
the sledgehammer, and he
Yeah, because
throws
he's
it.
been working on. Yeah, and he fucking nails her,
And he
clocks her
just
in the head.
whoo, it hits her. Yeah, hits her.
Yeah.
I think right in the chest, and she
Well, Texas has a lot of those axe throwing
yeah, yeah,
bars,
yeah.
and so he probably practiced like throwing
He's
weighted object like
he's
that.
so good at throwing. He she hits the she hits the floor so hard she goes through it, and and
Yeah,
and now she
fucking
get yeah
hair Marv style.
yeah
She home alone into the basement.
yeah, and now she gets to hide in between the
This is one of
floors.
the she's in the floorboards, the crawl space between the foundation and the piers that the house is built on. And this is a cool set, cool thrill
Yeah,
where His chainsaw is now back up and
It's not
running.
back.
He's an
And
excellent mechanic. Got that
yeah,
carb, got that dead chainsaw
got it
from
going.
fucking decades old.
And this chainsaw cuts more like a laser beam than a
Oh yeah, dude,
chainsaw.
it goes through
What
a fucking 8x8 beam,
yeah, it
dude, like
goes,
butter.
yeah. When I saw that, I was like, come on. I was like, come on. Like, I can suspend disbelief for a mentally unstable chainsaw murderer, but come on, you can't cut through that beam that fast. Give her a chance to get away. Give us some suspense. No, come on, no. They're just like, just right.
Oh, the suspense, Nate, was whenever she went behind a pipe and it
Yeah,
couldn't go through it.
no, it went straight through the pipe. It went
Well,
straight through the pipe.
and that was the other thing. Septic and sewage water
Oh yeah,
pours all over her head, and it's like, would do you think that would stop another character from interacting with her closely? No, it's like it never happened because
yeah,
everyone's hugging her and smelling her fucking hair like
yeah,
it's not covered in shit.
yeah.
Like, okay, I know it's raining outside,
Right.
but she still
Okay.
stinks.
Right. So she ends up next to
Lila
a
helps
hatch
her.
that
Yeah.
Lila pulls open and pulls her out of there, and they make it back to the bus.
Yes.
And I mean the bus scene is probably the main reason to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's pretty fantastic, and it goes
It's a
on.
party bus.
It's
Everyone's
also
been in
long.
there. They're continuing the party that they've been doing,
Yep.
drinking. It's
Oh yeah.
perfectly illuminated and like the blue light.
So they get
It's
in
just
there. They get in there. They got the keys. Melody's got the keys. Drive. Get the fuck out of here.
clearly
So
I like the blue light aesthetic. Like
yeah.
this is what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
into it. I
Yeah.
was a fan of the fucking party bus.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on it.
It was great. Let's get the fuck out of here. So they're driving, and they hear this noise. It sounds like a chainsaw up against metal, like he's running it down the side of the party bus, and he's like running with it, and he's just chainsaw on the side of the party.
Yeah.
So the driver stops, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he has no lines. What are you doing? He opens the door, grabs a flashlight, runs right out of the bus. Where are you going? the, he's not outside 5 seconds. Nothing happens. You hear, and then a head
Yeah.
just gets thrown
Yeah.
in the open door because they didn't even
It's
close the
so
door. It was so
it's so
fast.
brief, so brief, so abbreviated that people are questioning like usually chainsaws are loud. I didn't even hear a chainsaw, and it's like there was a sound, but it was for a fucking half a second, and then
Yeah.
his head gets thrown in. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Um. So
they all run up to the
they
top of
scream.
the.
Yeah, they scream. They run into the back, and they're hiding. The Melody and Lila or Lily are hiding in the back, and then he walks onto the bus with his chainsaw, and this is where we get the infamous. It's been out for a week, 5 days. The scene's already infamous. They a dozen kids hold up their phones, start recording, and the one guy's like, "Yeah, one wrong move and you're canceled, bro," or something like that.
Yeah,
Try anything and
yeah,
you're canceled, and then he starts cutting these
and
guys
then
up.
he starts the saw. Yeah, and then he's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh shit.
yeah, and he's
Crud.
live streaming it. Now there's
Oh.
a cool little
Oh.
Easter egg.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah. Yeah.
notice any of
The
the Easter eggs
yeah.
in the
The
chat?
text. Yeah. The chat text.
Yeah,
This looks so fake.
yeah. Though one of the people that are commenting is uh the director of the movie.
Oh.
It's a cute
Oh.
little Easter
Okay.
egg. Yeah, David Blue Arcia's name is one of the things. I can't remember what his comment, but it's something just like little quippy. I think he might have been the one about it being fake.
Yeah. This looks so fake, and that
Or
one was like,
who or yeah, or
is this
who
even
he did
real?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then the only other one I noticed was Bad Hombre 6666, and Bad Hombre is one of the production companies associated with the film too.
Is
Yeah,
the main
just
production.
a neat little nod.
Yep.
But
So
cool, yeah.
yeah,
And he starts going on a
he just
rampage.
starts cutting people up, and it's awesome. Like all these kills are cool. Like he gets the one guy, chainsaws in the gut, brings him up to the ceiling. He cuts the banker tries to go out the window, and he cuts her right down the waist, and her front half falls
Yeah,
out, and her back half is still in the bus, and then their intestines
yeah,
like are sliding on the open window. Excellent kills here. Melody and Lily escape to the bathroom where
yeah.
they look
Right.
up
I was
and
like,
there's a
this is the worst spot. They
Yeah,
didn't know that that roof hatch was there. Like, what are you doing?
yeah,
All these windows should have quick release escape
yeah.
windows for any event,
Where
and no
where's
one can fucking figure them
Yeah,
out.
and the concert rush the stage level fury of these kids on the back door won't let them open the escape the quick hatch back door because that should open out
Fucking,
too. There's no reason that that should not have been opened. Like
it's confusing.
yeah, yeah, but
I
that's
think
okay.
it might have just been a window up there, but it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, they can't operate them.
Yeah. Um
Plus, they're drunk. I mean,
yeah. So he kills everybody on the bus. When there's no one left, he goes for the bathroom. Lily's already made it up, and Melody's like, "He's gonna kill me. It's gonna be okay. Just run."
yeah.
Or maybe she says
So
that. Maybe she says that later. There's a lot of moments between Melody and Lily like that in this movie.
now here is a fair point to say because the next potential kill is a character that we have not even fucking introduced yet.
Oh, also, quick little sidebar. She buys a chainsaw corkscrew at the gas station at the beginning of the movie. Also, I'd like to point out that there's a formula to these movies, and yeah, Body did a great job of following it. Where was the harbinger? There was no harbinger in this movie. That gas station attendant should have warned those kids not to go into that town. Bullshit. Chris
That would have
Tom-
just made him want to go into the town even more.
Chris Thomas Devlin, you wasted opportunity, bud. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lily's on top of the bus, Melody is down, and she's cutting through the door. She takes out that corkscrew, stabs him, I think, in the arm, and
Yeah.
that gives her the opportunity to also escape. And now they are the only two to have survived the bus massacre. Ruth's dead, Dante's dead, Richter's dead. I think it's just that.
Everybody but them is dead,
Everybody with them. And the
except
character that we haven't mentioned yet.
and weird. Why would we not mention this character? Huh? Maybe because it's so fucking unnecessary for this character to be even in
To
this movie.
even exist. Exactly.
The only reason this character is in this movie is to try to give more credence or importance to this movie being real. It's so unnecessary and the wrong way to include a legacy character to validate your film. This is not how you handle a
Yeah.
legacy character.
So
Sally
Sally
Hardesty.
Hardesty, the survivor slash final girl of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, has become a park ranger kind of character over the years, hunting relentlessly Leatherface, according to the
Texas
local
Ranger.
the Texas Ranger, sure, yeah, forest ranger in Texas.
Yeah.
All them forests down there.
Yes.
um, and according to local legend, she's been hunting Leatherface ever since. She gets word of some dead bodies in Harlow
From the gas attendant.
from the gas station attendant.
He
And
hears it on the CB
right,
from the cops where someone's dies and he calls her
she
and tells her.
finds the
She
van crash, which is where she finds the mother
Yes.
staged, faceless, with the sunflowers in the red polka dot dress.
Oh,
Um,
again, sunflowers. The scene with him popping his fucking head up in the sunflowers, 100% unnecessary.
unnecessary.
Stupid. Why is he crouching and then standing up and looking for half a second? Like
It,
it's just for a
right.
poster. It's just for a trailer.
Yeah.
But it's stupid.
Yeah, and they could have used it in the poster and the trailer and still kept it out of the
Just
movie.
don't do
So
it in the movie. Yeah, it
yes,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be in the movie. Why do you do the shot in the movie? It's stupid.
Yeah. I when I saw that, I was like, why was he crouching?
Yeah, like what's he crouching
He
from?
should
Like
have
the
just been
fuck? Hey,
walking like the whole time.
like he's like breaking the fourth wall. Like, oh hey
Like,
there.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's Leatherface. It's me, Leatherface.
Yeah, fucking Deadpool mode.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay.
It's me, Leatherface.
So she shows up. They're running in the rain, and she shows up in her awesome SUV, and they hop in the back, And they're like, "Get the fuck out! Let's go! Let's get the fuck out of here!" And she's like, "I ain't going nowhere till I kill this Leatherface.
Yeah.
I'm locking you.
Sorry.
I'm locking you in my car."
You won't be able to get on with your life knowing that he's out there. So I gotta end it.
I gotta end it. And she doesn't.
Yeah.
So
She
yes,
is ended.
she is ended.
And this is super gratifying. Well, it's kind of dumb and funny. I don't know. I mean, she's like provoking him. She's shooting him from afar, and I
Yeah,
think she gets a hit or two.
yeah.
And she's like laughing. Kind
Well, all right, but
of
then
like
he he
she's.
he like runs off and hides in an alley, and you hear him
Yep.
rev. She's
Yep.
getting closer and closer, which was the mistake, obviously. She
Right.
gets closer and closer, and he just runs out, and he's holding the chainsaw like center mass, and she shoots. She gets like two shots off. They both hit the chainsaw,
Yeah.
and he just runs her right up the stomach, and then like throws her off of the end of his chainsaw into
Lifts
the
her.
into
He
the
lifts
garbage.
her,
Oh.
and he's revving that fucking thing for a couple seconds.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He revs it for
and
a
and, and
while.
then and then he launches her
Yeah,
into that pile of
into a
trash
pile of
again.
trash bags.
Superhuman strength.
Yeah,
It was just like the scene in Halloween Kills. Michael is breaking out of Strode's house, and the firefighters are there.
yeah,
He picks up the one with the thing, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, is this is not something that all slasher guys have to do now? Like it's like the new
yeah.
death.
It's a good kill. I mean, it's
Yeah,
good. It's
but
good.
yeah, it yeah.
Yeah, it's a trope for a reason.
Right. So amazing character introduced and seemingly just written off
Written off
immediately.
almost immediately. So the girls get out of the car somehow. I don't know. They definitely. I feel like they were definitely locked in. Maybe they were just, not
Yeah,
getting
I can't
out.
remember, but they get out.
They
Well, or
get.
no, maybe this is where they try to run him over, and
Oh
he
yeah,
throws the
yeah.
chainsaw, and they only clip him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they crash, and she's
Yeah,
got the. So Melody was driving. She's got a
has
rebar
the
in her
yeah
thigh now,
something. Yeah,
and
telling
Lily,
Lila to run, Lily to
Lily,
run.
is it Lily or Lila? What
It
did
on
it
the
say?
credits it
Oh,
says
it's
Lila, but
Lila.
I
It's
think she might
Lila.
have. But yeah,
It's
she's
Lila.
like, look, he's gonna come kill me. You need to run.
You need to run. So she runs. He does kind of go after her though, and then, or no, this happens later. So she does run. Oh right, he goes to kill Melody. This is where Lila comes out with the AK. Click, nothing happens. Now he's chasing Lila. Melody presumably escapes or dies. We don't know, because she has one of those heroic comebacks later,
Hmm.
which we're about to see because he's about to kill Lila and what's her nuts? Sally.
Sally.
Sally. Sally has her heroic comeback at this moment where she shoots him from her half dead state,
Yeah,
reloads the shotgun once, and tosses it to Lila.
yeah.
Um, Now, Lila definitely shoots that thing more than once, so who knows how guns work. Um,
Okay. But yeah, either way, so like yeah, he's now wounded to some extent, but now she has a shotgun
she has a
and
shotgun, and he follows her into
or,
some building,
theater. It's a movie
the
theater.
movie theater. Yep, and
Does she follow him or does he
or
follow her?
oh yeah,
She
maybe
follows him
she
because he
chases
ran away
him.
after that shot
Right,
from the shotgun, I think. So
right.
she
So
follows him.
she follows him, and there's a pool of water. She
He
go.
he baits her.
Yeah. Oh, right. With
He
with the running
yeah,
chainsaw.
the
Yeah.
chainsaw is running. Like this
She
guy's mentally not like I don't he doesn't do this.
yeah.
This doesn't seem canon to his character and what he does, but whatever. He baits her and yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so she sees that. Oh no, and he comes out of nowhere and tackles her into the water.
Right?
Uh
Yeah.
yeah, to which she actually gets out first. Maybe he grabs
Yep.
her and tries to pull her back in.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the triumphant return of Melody, who now has the shotgun, which was dropped when she was tackled. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
shoots him twice.
I think.
Lila picks up the chainsaw, uppercuts him with it. Just hits his
Yeah.
chin. Just hits his
Yeah.
chin. Knocks him into the water, and he sinks, presumably to his death.
Really
Um,
like I guess they couldn't and it didn't make sense, but I was expecting to see the Leatherface float to the top.
yeah, that would have been
Like
cool.
yeah, like it, but it makes sense why it didn't, but I feel like it should have because I mean, he didn't
Definitely
stitch
should
the
have.
fucking thing to his face. It's just sitting there.
Right.
It's it's not going to stay on his face when water comes in contact.
So it's morning, and before we go over this next scene, we should mention that
Dawn, it's the dawn
it's
of a
dawn
new day
on
and
a
they
new
they
day.
have survived an
Yes,
ordeal.
and we should
This
mention that on their way to this town, um, they used autopilot on their car
right, the
because
Tesla
the
just boop.
autopilot um, actually matters. So
This was a really fun, surprising twist that I did not see coming
right,
in this way.
I agree. I totally agree. So they set the course for home. They set the autopilot. The Lila is actually in the driver's
Lila's
seat.
in the driver's
Melody's in the
seat,
passenger seat,
Melody's in
but
the
they're
passenger
both of
seat.
their windows are rolled down because it's hot as hell and it's Texas. The car just starts to roll when Melody gets pulled out of the front seat, grabbed by the hair, and he cuts her head off with the chainsaw and just holds the head, staring at the car driving away.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
Lila's
because
in the moonroof, looking
yeah,
back and watching it all happen
just
instantly, just like that.
yeah, and just like
And
yeah, screaming,
she's driving
crying,
away. Yep.
and she's driving away with the autopilot, and that's credits. It was a nice ending. Like
Yeah.
I was fine with the Melody character dying. Actually, I would have been fine with Lila dying too.
Yeah. Either or.
Honestly, it didn't matter. Um, obviously set up for a sequel.
Right.
Um, the Lila character probably better for a revenge scenario with her PTSD. You know.
Right, which I don't think they can even fucking address. Like it's just it has to be as
Yeah,
if it
yeah,
never
yeah, yeah.
happened. Like if they're gonna
Well,
do another one, like that doesn't exist. Like
well
and
now it
really, but just like what's the fucking point?
right.
What like more time can't transpire. It's gonna have to be like really quick. Like they're talking about wanting to do a sequel. I don't see how. Like what are you gonna do? It just
Well, yeah.
there's
What is?
like this had reason as to why these events occurred. Like there even if it's
Yeah.
relatively flimsy.
I mean,
Uh
okay. The sequel is like the military goes in there and like they just like grab this guy. Like, I mean, he killed 24 people. Like,
Yeah, maybe yeah, because it's like yeah, there's only a handful of them, but then probably like 2 dozen maybe people that were just murdered. Yeah,
yeah. So there's no way he escapes uh, whatever law enforcement response is taken, right? So how is there a sequel?
but that's what's so stupid. Like he's not supposed to be a supernatural fucking being like Michael Myers. He's human. He's a cannibal. He's touched in the head,
Yeah,
but like there's nothing else. Like and this movie nullified all that and made him like a different
yeah,
and so whatever it is like it's like you got to come up with some other kind of reason to have him in another environment where there's a bunch of victims that he can just
right.
do whatever to. Or maybe she just leaves and doesn't want to think about it, and this event occurs, and now he lives at a homestead, and someone's just going to come across the homestead, and it's just an unknowing confrontation with him at his home with some, like the first one where they just didn't know any better and were being naive and knocking on a door that they shouldn't have knocked on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes any sense.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I've
It
seen
doesn't make
so
sense for them to have done this one the way that they did.
no, no, no,
And
that's true. That's true. So a sequel, I think, becomes even more forced, um, and probably even less intact, as this
here's the
movie
tricky
was.
thing too about Netflix releases is like they keep the views and what they're making very. closeted for the most part. You don't really know what is going on as far as view count and what they put into versus what they're receiving from. It's you can't.
Sure.
It's not public type information. So is there money or is there a need to do it? Is this helping get viewership to Netflix for whatever reason?
Right, right.
I don't know.
All right, so to score it, just like I gave Student Body a 5, which became a 6 due to a handful of things that I really enjoyed, mainly to do with the writing. Um, I'm going to give Texas a 5, but then I'm going to upgrade it to a 6 for its for its outstanding gore and kills. So,
Yeah, I mean it's
so
tough for me because like I can't give it a 7.
no.
Like and it's not garbage enough to deserve less than a 5 or even really. So I give it a 6 just because the way that I balance things out.
Yeah.
To me, it's yeah, the 6 is
It's
the fair score.
Yep. Both movies solid 6s, but
But
the
like
but
within each of those, there's spectrum. I would watch this again versus Student Body.
right.
Like
Well, I would actually watch neither of them again. um, but
yeah, but if you're looking
if
at two of them, you're
if
gonna
I
watch this probably more likely again than you would to watch that again.
I
If you had to watch one of them again,
All
which one
right,
is it gonna be?
are you ready? Are you ready? If I have to watch one of them again by myself, I'm watching Texas. If I have to watch one of them again with a friend or a group of people
Oh,
that I'm
okay,
showing a movie to, I'd show them Student Body before I'd show them Texas. I'd tell them to go watch
okay.
Texas on their own time.
You elitist bastard. So, I mean, we got into a lot with this. It's that kind of a thing. It's just weird. Like it's so odd what they did and what they didn't do. But I think that this guy, the way that he dressed this movie up, the script was what it was, the screenplay was what it was. It was already in motion with what they were going to be able to achieve or to shoot or to do. And I feel like the way that it was composed and created was pretty tight. It looked good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as directing, cinematography is
Yeah.
concerned, I mean, the guy delivered. You can't blame him. I have to blame the screenwriter on this one. And probably the producer, whoever was like, yes, let's make this movie. I love the script. Let's do it. I'd blame those two guys before I'd blame anybody else.
Yeah.
Um, you can't blame the actors. Everybody did what their job. Um,
Yeah,
the
there
so,
wasn't anyone that I thought was like a guard character.
yeah,
Are all
I really liked.
adequate.
Yeah, I really liked Richter. Lila. I thought Melody was good.
Yeah, it's too
Um,
bad that Richter was so underutilized. If he had more going
yeah.
on, it was pretty nice.
Yeah, he was
But
actually really interesting as a character, like because that's one scene he gets with Lila where he actually has like this this like emotional connection to her
yeah,
when she reveals that she was a school shooting victim.
yeah, he's kind of like, oh fuck, yeah, you dealt with some shit that I can't even imagine, and
Right,
he understands that.
right,
It's kind of screwed up that they uh handle him the way that because yeah, he was sort of like an interesting redeeming character that you would have liked to have seen at least fight to the end with
right,
them.
right. Yeah, yeah. He definitely should have gone later. Like I understand he had the keys and there had to be a way for them to get the keys back, but I don't know. Like
Yeah.
he could have survived a little bit longer. He also would have aided in their survival
Right.
because of his presumed abilities as this redneck with a gun.
Right. So maybe that's
Yeah.
subverting your expectations, and it's smart in a way.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's
That's
elevated horror.
this is not elevated. Oh my God. Yeah.
And
So I mean, overall, you know, it's in the 5-6 range, which is go watch these two movies. You probably won't watch them twice. You probably won't want to watch them a second time, but they're definitely worth it.
yeah, and I think that it's really fun because they both have aspects, and especially Texas, where there's like we did tonight. There's so many interesting things to talk about, whether you're laughing at it or questioning it or making it. I feel like things like this kind of make you reaffirm or solidify your opinions and your beliefs or your expectations or your desires for how they're handled. It kind of like it they help guide you and establish the boundaries of what you think is good art in the genre, and that's refreshing to see sometimes because it allows you to process what you expect and what you want out of the things that you're into. You know, every horror film that you see ends up solidifying or defining for yourself what it is that you're into, and for that alone, I think it's worthy to watch a lot. And for these, especially, yeah, to watch both of these films.
Yeah, yeah. So what did we make a decision on next week?
So for next week, I don't think we confirmed. Uh, I'm leaning towards wanting to go see the Cursed in theaters, the new
Oh, The
werewolf movie.
Cursed. Yep.
I kind of want to see that. I don't know if I have another feature to go alongside it. There are, whether because we've had a good run of really cool double features that are relevant both
Yeah,
with
especially
one another.
the last 2 weeks, I think we got really lucky.
Yeah.
Um,
So I don't know if we can do it with the Cursed. I mean, we talked about Come True and possibly seeing Titan, but I don't know. We're talking about it at least,
oh, we do have
for.
All the Moons,
Oh right, yeah, that was brought
that
up.
vampire movie. So if we're and The Cursed is Werewolf, we could do a
Ooh,
vampire werewolf double feature.
yeah, yeah. That could be good.
All right, so let's try that. Let's try, what did we say? The Cursed
And All the
and
Moons.
All the Moons.
Now we do have to now. While you mentioned this before, both The Battery and After Midnight were more like human dramas with horror elements. I do think that at least one of these might lean that way.
Oh, sure, sure.
Not that that stops us, but All the Moons I thought might have been more in that vein.
Right, right.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah. Well, we also do have Dogs and Dawn of the Beast. Those are both new. Uh,
Hmm.
Dogs was a Cannes Film Festival choice at 2016. Looks, it's Romanian import. And Dawn of the Beast looks terrible. Oh, it's a Bigfoot movie, so it's definitely bad.
Mm. There have been a handful of good ones that
Actually,
I
I
did
mean,
I did like Bobcat Goldthwait's found footage.
oh yeah, I didn't see that.
I
I heard it
enjoyed
was
it.
good though. Actually, this one has crazy good ratings. Dawn of the Beast.
Is it on a streaming platform?
Yeah, it's on Shutter. I was just checking the newly added.
Oh sure. Dawn of the the cover looks like
Y-
dog shit.
Yeah, right. That's what that's what I thought.
The Wendigo.
Is a movie
It
called The
says it's
Wendigo?
it. No, it's the Wendigo is in Dawn of the Beast. I'm on IMDb, and now I'm kind of frustrated a bit, but like that's what they are touting. A potential Wendigo is in that movie.
Oh. Oh, because they're looking for Bigfoot and it's a
Yeah,
Wendigo. Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll just rewatch Antlers.
All right. So we're definitely gonna try to watch The Cursed, and
Yeah,
we'll let you
we're gonna
know.
work it out.
We'll let you know what our second movie is.
Yeah,
All right. This is our longest episode ever. With that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. I think that's all we're really rocking these days.
yeah.
Um, check out Rod's t-shirts on Etsy. Actually, I should point to him that way. Okay. And
Yeah, Alberto Necti. So yeah, we've been making a lot of teas that are relevant to the films that we're trying to keep things that are topical and just fun because we love the genre and I love having T-shirts from all the things that I've seen. We both like to collect that kind of stuff. You obviously have a lot of memorabilia, and so
Yes,
this
I
is just
do.
one other thing.
I
So,
do. We should do a memorabilia episode where we maybe do one
ooh, where
movie
you
and then
dig through,
we
yeah.
just talk about our cool stuff. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Student Body, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Requill. Definitely both worth watching. For the podcast, for the recently deceased, I'm Nate Roberts,
I'm Rodney Godek.
and we'll see you next week.